Hi, guys. It is another mild evening here in Columbus, Ohio, as we continue to slog through the winter of 2020. In the interest of transparency, I thought it'd be a good idea to share some of my blood work results. And just to give you a little background on my vital signs, I'm a 50-year-old, apparently Caucasian male, and I have been on a vegan diet for over 12 years now. Oh, and I'm not on any prescription medications. So let's get right into it. I had some blood work done just this week, and the first item is this is the one that guys love to look at, the testosterone level, and you can see that it's interesting. Their reference range is based on a population of healthy non-obese males between the age of 19 and 39. Well, in this culture, very few people can be described as both healthy and non-obese, so I thought that was kind of funny. But my level 630, it's right in that normal range. But we run into trouble on the second line as my free testosterone is only 6.7 and the reference range is 7.2 to 24. So I know why this is. I have a rather elevated level of sex hormone binding globulin, and that ties up your testosterone. Now, I don't know if I think this really works in a nonlinear fashion. If you drop below a certain point, I think you really will start to experience some negative symptoms. But to be honest, I really don't know where that point is. So anyway, you can mark this down as a strike against me, but it is what it is. So next one's kind of interesting. I had my vitamin D level checked, and for the last 6 months or so, I've only been taking about one capsule per month. It's 10,000 IU. So I'm on a really low dosage. And of course, I don't get any sun in the wintertime. Probably late October is about the last sun I had. And I'm not a sun worshiper either. But 36.8, this is another one of those things that's kind of controversial, but it would appear that that's plenty adequate. So and I don't have really many vitamin D supplemented foods either. So it could well be if you actually get a decent amount of sun, even in Columbus, Ohio, and you take very minimal vitamin D or maybe even none, you may very well not run into problems, believe it or not. But it is something you should keep an eye on. Now, we get into, after that, some of the inflammatory markers. First one being C reactive protein. And you can see, ideally, for low cardiovascular risk, you want it to be below 1. I'm at 0.91, so that's a good sign. And likewise, my homocysteine level, 9.6, you want it to be under 14.5. And we go down a little farther. I did not even know what this was, this LDH, but it's a marker for tissue damage, and it could be a result of a heart attack, which I'm pretty sure I didn't have a heart attack, or some other kind of trauma. And that trauma could be heavy exercise, and they've actually measured this in some trials, measuring it after people engage in heavy exercise. And in fact, it does elevate the LDH level. And I should mention, I am currently training for the USAPL, that's powerlifting, the state championships here in Columbus in late March. So I'm working out pretty hard these days. So it's not surprising that this is toward the upper range. The next one, this is another one I didn't know anything about, the sedimentation rate. And the way it works is if your blood is highly inflamed, your red blood cells will not sink very quickly. So, a lower number means lower inflammation. So the healthy range is between 0 and 30, and my level came in at 2. Oh, this next one is interesting. Creatine kinase level. Creatine being a substance that it is found in some animal foods, but your body makes it naturally. And if this level is, let me put it this way: if you have low muscle mass, this level will be low. Now, if the level is high, as in my case, it's quite high, it's more than double the upper end of the normal range. If it's high, it doesn't necessarily mean you have huge muscles. It could mean, again, you could have had a heart attack or some kind of trauma, and again, or trauma, including using your muscles. And what happens is the creatine itself is in your muscles and it's involved in helping them create energy. So if you do a lot of working out, you will see this marker elevated. In fact, people who do ultra marathons or people who suffer from rhabdomyolysis, if they just way overtrain in a one session, this can go up to 10,000 or more. But another thing I wanted to point out is a lot of detractors of vegan diet say, well, you're not getting any creatine in your diet, and that'll be problematic. Well, apparently I have plenty of creatine because this is a byproduct of the creatine action. So I'm definitely not creatine deficient. It also kind of makes you wonder if a creatine supplement is necessary because I do not take a creatine supplement. I think it's pretty much worthless, to be honest. Anyway, enough on that one. The vitamin B12, every vegan should. This is the first thing to look out for if you're vegan. Take a vitamin B12 supplement. And I don't take much of this either. I actually chop up my little tablets, and I'm probably only taking about a tenth of one of those tablets every day. And you can see that that is plenty. And it's only very rare cases that somebody might get really depleted and require a shot of B12. So there's some scaremongering that goes on with that one. Ferritinin is probably a good. It can be too high or too low, but it's a good proxy for your iron status. And if you're anemic, this will probably be really low. And I know my iron status has always shown up as very adequate. And this seems to be indicating that as well. All right, and then actually I did have some other blood work. That other work I think I mentioned was I had that blood work done just this week, but this batch was done in May of 2018, and this first part I don't think is actually, maybe we had more up here. Yeah, this is first part has to do a lot with your immune system, your white blood cells and platelets and things like that. And you can see everything's pretty much mostly in the middle of the normal range. My glucose, I have had it measured several times. It's usually around 85 or 90. And I've also have a home blood sugar testing kit, and I did a video on this. In fact, when I downed a whole bunch of maple syrup and then measured my blood glucose. And bottom line is my glucose has behaved as you would hope it would. And in fact, I even measured it. I did as an experiment last year. I did a 60-hour fast, and you'd think at the end of that fast I'd be pretty depleted in blood sugar, but it actually came in around 82, pretty much in line with my normal fasting glucose level. So no blood sugar crashes. And let's see what else. Go on down here. The only other thing I'd point out is the cholesterol. I'm usually my LDL is somewhere around 78 or 80, and or well, it was 78 in this case. I think the HDL is coming in low, and the way I would think of HDL and LDL is HDL is like being on offense. It's like scoring points. Ideally, you want it to be higher. And LDL is like playing defense. You want it to be lower. And if you have a really good defense and you keep your LDL low, you don't need to score a bunch of points with your high HDL. So another way to describe it is people have said HDL is kind of like a garbage truck that takes away bad things, and if you don't have many bad things, you don't need much HDL. I'm not aware of any evidence showing that low HDL is necessarily problematic. It's just that higher HDL can be protective. Then my triglycerides came in a little on the high side, 140. I had it checked a year ago, and it came in at borderline 150. So whether that's problematic or not, who knows? I think that's about it. I think I've been pretty transparent here, and people are free to draw their own conclusions.